Welcome to Community Insight. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Rodney Coles. Community Insight is a communication of getting information to our community. Today we have a special guest on our show today, Mr. Rich. Welcome to the show.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Rich, tell us a little bit about, first let's find about the ministry that you with. You can look this way. What's the ministry you with?
Well, I'm on a mission to serve older adults in Pitt County, period. I want to reach out to them for a segment of our population which I feel is sometimes neglected, overlooked, and I want to let them know that there's someone out there that really cares a lot for them.
Rich, known as being the executive director on the Council on Aging, there's a lot of things that you put in place. And for those as looking at this broadcast, you are the executive director for Council on Aging, even though they see the screen down below with the name to Council on Aging. Some of the things that you see, I know some of the things you have already done, but what's some of the things that you still see with our senior citizens of need with, Rich?
Well, one of the things is right now I'm on a 50 churches and 50 weeks tour. And one of the things that in my faith is that we always talk about faith, love, and hope. Mm-hmm. And I've come across a lot of seniors when I look into their eyes and see a darkness, a loneliness, a hopelessness. And so I try to share faith and love all day long, but when they've lost hope, that really concerns me. So what I'm really seeing is a point of some of our older adults who are over the tipping point and they've lost hope, and I want to give them back hope. And as the Council on Aging, that's one of our missions, is to restore hope with our seniors, that there are people out there who care about them, and we're going to come looking for them. They don't have to come looking for us. We're going to look for them.
Rich, I was sharing this as a senior citizen in our feeding program that we do with the Churches Outreach Network. But one of our programs is the Elder Touch Your Heart, and we have the same passion. Also, a person I'm gonna mention his name, Commissioner Melvin Malonhorn. He's saying with me when it comes to children and senior citizens, we go to bat for them because we know that there's a need. And I feel that senior citizens have paid the price for me to be here, and it's like, what are we doing to help them? And I think it's wrong to the point that they need to have food. And like some folks feel that sometimes you may need to put them in a nursing home, but sometimes people just want to put them in a nursing home to get rid of them. Mm-hmm. And knowing that there's places like the Council on Aging and over there on home is a
County Home
Road there, and you have a lot of activities, and I'm not going to steal the thunder. I want you to explain about, all the program. I hope we can get it all on this one tape, and the programs, the things that you guys do over there, but people may don't know about, and I want, if you can, to touch on a little bit and how you're trying to get the city to bring a bus route down there, but let me pause there because I'm giving you too much at one time. I apologize, but could you tell us the programs and
Sure.
to the audience the programs that you have?
Well, and one of the reasons that I even came to Pitt County and the Council on Aging is that we're a secret. A lot of people don't know about us. The Council on Aging has been around for 41 years. 41 years. We've been 10 years over on County Home Road. We are a one-stop shop for anything that has to do with older adults, period. And actually, our target market is 35 to 50-year-olds because we want to reach out to the kids, the grandchildren, the nieces, nephews, the next-door neighbors of our older adults because they're isolated and disconnected as it is, so it's hard to get to them. But today's younger generation, they're connected. So part of who we are is information, resources, referrals, anything that would have anything to do with an older adult. Medicare, nutrition, insure products, you name it, that's what we have information. You need information on housing. You need information on transportation. That's what we are. And you bring up an interesting point about transportation. We have this great community center on County Home Road. The farmers market is there. The walking trails is there. The parks and recreation. But there's no bus route. And it's less than a mile from the existing route, and the cost is very minimal to engage our community in a vital part of our area that is not accessible to particularly older adults. And so we're trying to bring awareness to who we are, what we do, and how we can engage the community, a very vital part of our community, and let them know that we can help them.
And I want to say, I'm going to touch on some of the programs you have because you got some good staff. I want to say, if I mess up one name, then I'll be in trouble. So all of them, and I say all of them are good staff. And, that comes from leadership as well. Good leadership know the staff they need to put in place. And I know you have I'm just going to put her name, Miss Wanda. She's someone new, and she got some energy. Lord have mercy. And her information, I believe she's working with a program that is, you have SHIP, and for those who don't know about SHIP, you're also dealing with chronic disease. I'm just putting this out there because people want to know exactly what do you have. You also have something, I believe, something working with if somebody need, and if I'm wrong, help me out, something if they need something in their home, if they fell on, like, I'm going to pass that right back to you.
Well, we do. We do SHIP counseling, which is the state health insurance program. And so we have Medicare counselors. We have several of them who will give people information on what the best prescription plan is for them, guidance, direction. We have an incredible falls prevention program. Falls, #1 cause of death amongst seniors. People are falling, and these are preventable things. So many issues that affect our seniors are preventable. Hunger, for one. Hunger is preventable. Hunger leads to malnutrition, which leads to poor immune systems, which leads to weakness, which leads to falls. Falls such as lack of a handrail, lack of a grab bar in the bathroom. These are inexpensive items that can save lives. It's what we do. So we have private pay. We have some funding for some of these programs. Again, issues that the average person wouldn't have a clue of. How do I do it? Where do I go? Who's the contractor? We do all that kind of stuff. So you talk about staff. We have phenomenal staff. And leadership is only as good as the staff that you have. Sure. And if you will look at our organizational chart, for example, most organizational charts are in a pyramid with your executive director on top. Ours is upside down. I'm on the bottom. I serve the least of the people.
Wow.
I serve my staff. I serve the community. I'm on the bottom. Without the staff, I'm nothing. The Council on Aging is nothing. So, I figure 2,000 years ago, my leader washed the feet of the least of his people. Yeah. I want to be below that. Wow. And that's the mentality of this agency, is that we're a serving agency. We want to serve the community. We want to help the community, but we also need engagement from the community. I can only hold a $100 bill in my hand, but if you don't come and get it, you'll never get it. We have these resources, and so we need people to engage with us, and we'll help, we'll guide, we'll direct, and do whatever we can. Another area is the Meals on Wheels program, and we're serving 300 people every single day.
Wow.
We have 100 people on the waiting list. And these aren't people looking for a handout. These are people who are assessed by a professional social worker. These are people who are hungry. These are people who are lonely, isolated, maybe lost limbs to diabetes. They don't have a caregiver. And these are truly people who we have great food resources in our community. But if you're in a wheelchair, have no transportation, how do you get to them? Meals on Wheels is one way to get to them. And then we have volunteers who are going into these people's home 5 days a week to make sure they're safe and that they're okay, that they are the caregiver coming in and checking in on them. And they're within seconds are calling us and saying, Miss Mary's not answering her door today. Something's going on. And we're on the phone to the caregiver. So it's part of that engagement in the community where we have to stop looking to others to care for us. We need to care for one another. And that's what we're doing. We're going back to the basics of all the turmoil in our world. In Washington, D.C. with politicians, we've got issues today right here in our yard. And it's going to be you and I who are going to help the people in our area, and that's what we do.
You said something a few minutes ago. I'm gonna bring that back up. I mean, there was a leadership training at Jarvis Church on August the 10th and 11th, and I mean, I never thought that I can sit down for 2 days of that training, and it talked about leadership. And when you just mentioned that, he's right. And I kind of you put me back. You said it before. I can probably get it out. Was Jesus was there to serve, and as I think even as leader, we can lead and have the right staff, but having us to help our staff to move. And it's amazing that you say that because all of my life I've been doing that. I never took title into an area which you think you're bigger than somebody else. I mean, only God we serve and how we work in the ministries and even in the workplaces put us down that area so they be able to do their job because we're helping them, they're to help others. And that's the key thing. And also look at the service that you provide, like the Ensure milk. Folks don't know about that. That Ensure milk that they can buy, and it's expensive in the store because we have purchased some cases from you, for some of our senior citizens who had a need for it. And knowing that, I know people looking at this broadcast and saying, well, where's the council on agent? And we just mentioned the address, at least it's on Home Country Road. I may mess it up again. But I could get to a lot of places, but unless y'all give me a landmark, I get lost, But and knowing it's right across from the Fresh Market across the street. But I will say this, and I'm not trying to start trouble here, but I'm just going to be real who I am. When it comes to transportation, I truly believe that some of the churches can help. I think that, I'm not a politician, I'm not in that area there, but I think that a lot of times that, we as human beings, and you just said it, it's the community, is us. I think that in the churches that has vans, are sitting in the parking lot from Sunday, well, I would say Sunday, it runs around Saturdays and Sunday, but from Monday to Friday, which the council and age is open, how could we have some of the pastors, well, listen, I can volunteer one day. We're not trying to drain out the church and the gas and all that. One day, you can do one day out of the whole 30-day month. You do one day and picking them up and bringing them back. And I hope the folks that's looking at this broadcast are saying, well, I am a church. We do have a van. I may not, can't give any finance support, but I can help pick up maybe some senior citizens and bring them there and take them back, because we have a van that's sitting there. Because sometimes, I'm on everybody's defense. I believe it's not who's right, it's what's right. And when we talk about the city councilor, well, they need to do that. I think they can help if they have the money to do it, and we would love to see that to be done. You understand? But I also think that the community needs to step to the plate, Rich, to say, hey, man, let's, if I got a van, let me bring that van and I can help you by them, you giving them your contact. I could bring one day, volunteers, and it's going to take us, I just left a area just a few minutes ago, where they was talking about how the housing authority just built a new facility for the veteran. And I tell you, Bishop Rosie O'Neill just said it, Don Davis just said it, they was just saying like, these guys have paid the price, and to serve our country. And they come back, they don't even have a home. And I feel the same way with our senior citizens. They have went through things that you and I didn't go through. Let's talk about some things like an outhouse. They just use outhouse wells, and they didn't have we have luxury today. We have luxury. I remember when I was young, to call my girlfriend, my wife. Well, don't want to get in trouble. Amen. And use the house phone or a pay phone. You got cell phones. You got Facebook. So then the senior citizens, they're not into all that, but we have to be with it. And I'm glad that there's a place here in Greenville that can help our senior citizen. Even where there's, even say, well, what more can I do? And there's folks listening to this broadcast, they say, well, I may be able to contribute something to this cause. What about a day room? And while I help it what your guys already have over there, because I always believe duplication is not a good thing, Rich.
No.
It's not good. I always believe, and I believe this. There's some things I believe, and I live it. I believe be on time. Treat people the way you want to be treated. I'd rather be hated for who I am to be loved for what I'm not. I believe some things in my life that I live by, and I believe don't try to do it by yourself. Who do you need to work with to bring it together. Because when you bring it together, Rich, it's mean you involve God in the middle of everything. He's in charge. And when I try to do it for me, I want to get my name. It's not about me. And I love how you kind of say that. But if some things you feel, I'll let you go loose here. Some things you feel that we could do more as a community.
Sure. Well, I think sometimes in our belief, we pick scripture, but we forget the before and the after part of it. And what I am reminded of right here in Pitt County is the widow and her bull. Sometimes we're embarrassed that we can't do enough. And this isn't about someone who's out there today saying, I can't solve anything. I don't have $1,000, $10,000. That's not what this is about. I'm on 50 weeks, 50 churches. Could you imagine if 50 churches all said, you know what? I'm going to give $50 a month to getting rid of hunger in our community. 50 churches doing $50, hunger would be gone. So, and I'm going to pick out 2 churches. I got Open Door and COA, who stood up and said, you know what? We do missions around the world. We got a mission right here in our own backyard, right here in Pitt County. And sometimes while we're gaining a soul halfway around the world, we're losing 2 in our own backyard. We're losing 2 in our backyard. So what does it gain to gain 1 when we lose 2? We've got to go back to taking care of our family first. And if everyone just stood up and did a little bit, and again, these 2 churches in particular, and there's other churches who are stepping up saying, you know, we do missions around the world, and we do have a mission right here in our background. It's not a lot. It's a wooden bowl. Here's a little bit. And if everyone did a little, we'd solve these problems. But we're out hunting elephant instead of shooting quail. And so we're starving while we're looking for that big game. We've got the resources. And again, it's community coming together. And we need to be blind sometimes to focus on hearing God's word, what's laid upon our heart, because we're busy seeing too much distraction. In fact, getting back to the root core, and that's you and I, and seeing you for you are, seeing who I am for I am, and let's work. What can we do together? And churches is a great way to partner together. We've put too much dependence upon the government to take care of us. And while I respect the government, I need my family to step up for me because I can count on my family, and we've lost the ability to count on one another. And I want us to get back to counting on one another to help us to serve one another, because there's nothing greater joy than serving. And I love serving. And just to touch real quick upon leadership, you can look at all kinds of people who are leaders. Look at the Pied Piper. He was a great leader, and they all followed him, and they all drowned and died. So be careful on leadership.
Yeah, I think that leadership is something that you already. Some people try to be a leader that is not instilled in them, and and some things you've been born with. It's already like we went back to the story when Samuel had to look for the next one to be the king, and he went to Jesse and all his sons, but he's trying to figure which one it was, but it was David because it was already instilled in him. See, some people try to be a leader, but they're not called in that leadership, and so you got to be careful, and you will drown if you run into that area in not trying to be in the leadership. I want to say that when you're talking about, where churches could get more involved, or even organizations, because, I think that some folks feel that if they just gave, they think they're giving a whole lot. You'd be amazed if someone say, well, listen, I could give $25 a month to help towards that. We have over 968 churches here in Pitt County. Okay, that's how many churches. There's more churches. You got restaurants here, and let me tell you something. You could go to a place where there's no grocery store. There's more churches there than there is grocery store, and you imagine $10 or $20. They could probably help, because I think I feel bad in knowing I do everything I can do in my ability, what I have to do daily. My wife and I, thank God for her, because we work really 24/7. Sometimes I get in trouble for people say, God rests on the seventh day. You need to rest too sometimes, and they right, and I appreciate the chastising. Amen. It was good for him. It was good for me. But I will say that for those to help out, they'd be amazed. And then to have our seniors that's maybe over 100 on the waiting list, like how long should they wait? And I think that, people can contribute more. I think that, it's going to take applying for fundings. We don't need any fundings to be cut on any direction because, see, food is something we need. I mean, it's just not, I don't need this sweater because I just could have had a shirt. I don't need this tie as long as I had a shirt to go on so I won't get a summons for walking around the street. So I don't need these are add-on. This is add-on. But I need some food to survive, and I need water. I need food, to move on in life. And you can't, and it's a shame where they come to the point where they decided whether, and this is something I heard from the pet pantry, they, when they get the food rich, and I'm so glad that you're partners with them and we're part with the pet pantry, they were saying that they got the animals and sometimes they sharing what the little food they got, Rich. I was like, wow. Because, I didn't realize, because my wife, she loves cats. I don't like cats, but I can tolerate it. Hey, man. But she loves cats, and it was amazing to hear some of the seniors talking about, Rich. They have this tight relationship. If my cat can talk back, I'll be in trouble. I tell all my secrets to my cat. Once I tell all my secrets to a dog and giving food. So I'm glad for the pet pantry that y'all guys working with them as well and helping them let's give the pets their food and you have your food. And people don't know what's going on with our senior citizens. They see them, they think they're doing all right. They want to just call, hey, how you doing? They don't understand how y'all goes out and visit them and seeing the things they needed. Working on the nutrition area. There's a lot that folks really don't know about the senior citizen, and you're out there and say, how can I volunteer? And don't know that you need volunteers, Rich. I mean, we need volunteers. We need funders to keep it going because everywhere you turn around, they cutting this, they cutting that. It's like, I feel sometimes that we in this world which I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't have a cable bill when we was a child. We had the old put the hanger in with aluminum for you, and you only had the black and white TV station. But now you got a smart TV. You can't watch it without cable, and you got to have a phone now. You can't really. You don't pay phones out here. You break down, you got an issue. But I don't mean to go on the tab, but sometimes I'm really close when it comes to our senior citizen, Rich, and the things you're doing over there to senior citizens, what you're doing, how you're making a difference. They don't even know about all the program, all these resources. They don't even know, Rich, that you're running to all these different places out of state to bring resource right here in Pitt County, And I'm so glad that you have Corner Nail, Open Door, and other churches have stepped to the plate. And I pray to other churches says, hey, what can we do? It could be $10 a month. They say, let me put that to Council on Aging, $25 a month. Every bit add up. It's like having potluck. You go somewhere, you bring a dish, I bring a dish, they bring a dish. It's like Thanksgiving. If my wife made the turkey, you did that. You have something in place. Vic, Rich, tell us about if there's volunteers, and if you need volunteers, and and if you need them, what they need to do if you have a need for it.
Sure, we have a need for volunteers, and to remind people, we are a nonprofit. So we're not a part of the government. We're not part of the county. We do receive different funding from different streams, but we're a nonprofit. We depend on volunteers. We need volunteers. And even going back to the meals, while there's 100 people on the waiting list, 2 years ago, there were over 250 people. 250. So that's a great thing. Well, we got it down to 100. Oh, that's awesome.
Amen.
Except over 80% of those people died on the waiting list, hungry. So when I go home, I think about, man, I'm eating my dinner tonight, and there's a good possibility that somebody on my waiting list tonight waiting for a meal will die hungry. That's a crime. That's a crime. It used to be over a 2-year waiting list to get a meal. You guys got this crazy thing north of the river. Up until last October, we never served meals north of the river. That's a crime. We do now. We've got to get out there. We've got to educate the community what is happening in their own backyard and what can we do. You can volunteer. You can donate. You could advocate. You can educate. We recently lost $30,000 in funding to the Meals on Wheels program by a very large funder here in town because basic human needs is not a priority. Basic human needs are not a priority. So because seniors are hungry, that's not a priority. I understand we have priorities in our community. We have children, we have reemployment, we have lots of priorities. Hunger is more than a priority. It's a human need. And the opportunities for resources are far less for a senior than a younger person, by a child. That's the fact. Older adults, because where they live, they're isolated, they're in rural areas, they don't have access. And when you lose $30,000, that's a lot of money to say, I'm sorry, I can no longer feed you because human needs is not a priority of one of our funders.
Wow. When you say that, I remember the list was a large list, and how the list finally went down because you made that, and to make sure, and a lot of them probably died off, as you said. But that is a key fact of hunger, that we have to make sure we feed our seniors, our children, because that's very important. Because if you don't eat, Rich, things happen. There was just a recent on a couple, and people didn't get all the detail. The news would tell you what they want to hear you, but she had old timers, and also they had finance, they had a house, and it happened this year. And when you got into the nick of the story, and I went down, and some things just bothers me. I just can't, I don't listen, and I just want to know what's happening. And I got the nick of the story to find out that they was by themselves, husband and wife, love each other. He took her life. Then he took his life because of finance. He couldn't pay the bills. They was hungry. But I just want to say to you, I thank God for what you're doing. I would like, if you can, we got like less than a minute, if you can tell the broadcast information, how they can get in contact with you. For those who would like to make a donation, please tell them what they need to do. If you have a website, if you can give them all the information as we close out.
Website is PITTCOA.com. You can call us at 752-1717, and love to hear from you. If you got questions, comments, call us. We'll talk. And that's all we can do. Let's talk. Let's communicate.
Well, we thank you, Rich, for being on the broadcast. This is Community Insight. Community Insight giving you information and resource. We thank you again. God bless.